It's episode 595 of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast. On today's show, I'm joined by prospect expert Grant Schiller to talk about the Rangers farm system, Jack Leiter's worst professional start, and more up and down this Rangers farm. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On to the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Bryce Paddock, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010. Joining me on today's show is Grant Schiller, the prospect encyclopedia, the guru, the pitching projector. Grant, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, the Mavs won last night. Moved on to the Western Conference Finals. They're going to win the championship. The Stars regrettably did not play.
Yeah, that was a shame.
But it was a really good night.
Yeah, and you went to a baseball game yesterday.
I did.
A good baseball game.
I did. Yeah, a good Rangers baseball game. As shocking as that sounds.
That is shocking. You know, and I want to ask you about that because I mean, I know you don't get out to see the Major League club nearly as often as you used to, but what was it like seeing Martin Perez in the flesh absolutely dominate a, struggling at times, but still really dang good Boston lineup?
Well, I mean, when you have chances to go see Cy Young candidates, you take them. So, no, I mean, honestly, it's really weird to watch him be so successful. And, it doesn't look like he's really doing much different. The strikeout and K rates are very similar to what he had last year. He just hasn't allowed any home runs, and he's getting a lot more ground balls. I do remember from when he was here before, at least what I thought of him was a ground ball guy. That wasn't necessarily the case in Boston. As I look at the numbers, he was a ground ball guy. So he seems to have married the higher strikeout rates for Boston with the ground ball rates of his time in Texas. And that helps, He's not this good, like he's going to get up a home run at some point, but that helps.
And because he's been in the big league so long, I talked about it on yesterday's show, but, he's only 31 years old. Is that not, does that not blow your mind? I thought he's at least, 33, 34. But no, he, just barely over 30.
Yeah. So he came up, I guess, as a 21-year-old then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was in 2012, actually, when he made his Major League debut and was fine. Pretty fine. And now he is more than fine. He is matured, and hopefully, as we're recording this, John Gray, or I guess after we record this, whatever, as you're listening to this, you have just seen John Gray come back and look like the Rangers ace that they paid him to be. But Martin Perez has been such a revelation this season, and I think I don't know if you agree, but him being able to go off and not be the guy who had all those expectations of being such a top prospect, so highly touted. And I'm sure you remember a little bit more about him coming up as a prospect than I did, but having to being able to just shed that weight off of him, I'm sure that had to help him come and feel more comfortable this year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I don't know. The Rangers have a recent history of helping guys at that age, so that probably plays into it. He made some good adjustments last year, threw some more strikes, missed some more bats, but it kind of gotten away from, I don't know if he was throwing less sinkers, but he kind of gotten away from his ground ball ways. So I don't know what he's changed that combined the two. Maybe it is mental. Maybe he's just more comfortable. Maybe it's pitch mix. It looks like he is throwing the fastball more with us than he did with Boston, a little bit less of the cutter. But it's certainly interesting. He's not an ace, but I'm enjoying his ace period here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, the only real big adjustment is that he's throwing the four-seamer a lot less. When he's throwing it, it is effective. But that was the pitch that had been beaten up by him a whole lot, and I think he tried to be too much of a four-seam, dominant kind of guy, kind of strikeout guy, and he's like you said, he's married the, not trying to strike everybody out, but like also like getting the ground balls and letting the hitters do the work. Like that's what the best pitchers do.
Yeah, well, this is interesting actually. His I did not realize it was this extreme. So his four-seam percentage, which looks about on average 25% during his first stint in Texas, is down to 7% this year, career low.
Mm-hmm.
And his sinker percentage is up to 41%, with about 20% on the cutter, which is about last year that was about 30%. So he's really cut down the four-seamers. He's even cut down the cutter from the last 3 years, which was a new pitch from when he had left Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So from what we last saw as a Ranger, that's a new pitch. And then
Yeah.
he's using the sinker significantly more, which would explain the higher ground ball rate. So it seems like he's found a pitch mix that works for him much better.
Yeah, and that takes a while. I mean, it takes a while especially when you're like adding new pitches and things like that. And he's been in the big leagues for this is his 11th season now. He's had a decade in the bigs to kind of find himself. And is it just like what people think of as being true, or is it actually true that you found that like lefties kind of tend to bloom a little bit later on in their careers often?
I don't know. I can confirm that lefties are weirdos, but I can't confirm or deny that one. I don't know. It's not something I've really put much thought into or noticed.
Yeah, it just always seems like of the like guys who randomly find like a second wind in their career, like usually it's more often that lefties do than right. Maybe it's just me completely making something.
It does help to be left-handed. It gives you more chances, which would give you more opportunities to find second wind.
Yeah, and I mean every pitcher goes through that transformational period of like when you stop. Well, unless you're Justin Verlander, you can still pop off 95 after 2 years off of baseball at like age 47 or however old he is. But for everyone else who is more human, you have to kind of figure out how to be a smarter pitcher when you get older. I mean, it happens to CC Sabathia. It happened to name other pitchers that I can't think of because words are hard at this moment. But like every pitcher has to kind of learn how to pitch smarter when their stuff kind of fades. And so it seems like Martin Perez has kind of found that, and that's really nice.
Yes, it is. I was not very excited when they brought him back, so I still have Marty P fatigue from when he was here the first time.
That's fair. There was a lot of fatigue to be fatigued about.
Yeah. But hey, he's doing really well. I'm happy for him.
Me too. And somebody who I slandered quite slanderously is Cole Calhoun, and he has been one of the Rangers' best hitters. He's been their best hitter for the last week, and that has been super encouraging because I was a little worried, and I was just a little worried about this staff in general, because obviously offense is down around baseball, but the best players are still putting up their numbers. Like Mike Trout is still putting up his ridiculous numbers. Byron Buxton, Judge, and I think Stanton's still putting up crazy numbers. But the best guys are putting up their numbers, and right now at home, Corey Seager's numbers are really good. Actually, I don't know if they still are after this recent last 6 games, but last week he had an OPS over 1,000 at home versus below 600 on the road. But the Rangers, these two guys of Semien and Corey Seager, those guys should fall in that category. And I'm a little less worried. Semien's looking like he's kind of pulling out of it. He's not pushing. I mean, he never walked a whole bunch, but he's not striking out. He's in the top. I think he's in the 69th percentile of strikeout rate, which is pretty nice. I would like to see him be in the 69th percentile of offense in general. But I feel there is definitely. I mean, because when Willie went down in that whole thing, we'll get into that in a second. But I started to have some real concerns about that. We're just going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Willie getting sent down and concerns about this offense. This episode is brought to you by Built Bar. There is a new Built Bar that I have got to tell y'all about. It is the birthday cake puffs. They are absolutely fantastic. Imagine dipping your finger into a plastic tub of birthday cake frosting, then opening your eyes and realizing there was only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That's what it's like to eat the Built Bar birthday birthday cake puff from Built. I just received my birthday cake puffs, and they are absolutely fantastic. I've never had anything like them. They are, 100% white chocolate. They are so soft. They're easy to chew. And with 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and only 9 grams of sugar, this limited time flavor is an amazing option if you're looking for a healthier way and to get flavor and enjoy variety in your day. They are so good. They are so freaking delicious. All Built Bar cups, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built, you can eat healthy and really enjoy it while you're doing it. And they are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently, provides tons of healthy benefits. Go to Built.com to get birthday cake puffs now. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Raiders your first listen every single day. Now, for your second listen of the day, check out the Locked On Now podcast. It is fantastic. It takes you through recaps of MLB games from analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. It is free and available wherever you get your podcast. And now, back to my talk with Grant Schiller. And we are back with Grant Schiller. If y'all aren't already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at OGSchill. You can also follow me at Bryce Paddock, follow the show at Locked On Rangers, and subscribe on YouTube. Grant, we are talking about the struggling offense, and these guys who are at the top of, or should be at the top of Major League leaderboards in crushing baseballs, in Semien and Seager, aren't quite doing it. And it seems like Cole Calhoun's kind of figured out his way. But, how concerned are you about this offense not getting there with the new hitting staff and all that? And I don't know.
I mean, I am concerned. It's interesting. With the Mavericks and Stars on the runs they have, I probably haven't watched quite as much Rangers as I normally do. But from what I've seen, I mean, it's a lineup that really battles, puts up a lot of quality at bats, but doesn't do much damage. So, I mean, in order to make really good swing decisions, what trade-off are they making? It is concerning that it isn't working out. Honestly, that's the type of offensive philosophy that I kind of subscribe to, is although it just may be a little bit too far on the patient side, and maybe what I'm saying is outdated. Honestly, it's very possible. That from when I have watched, that's kind of been the thing I've noticed, is very competitive at bats, not chasing much, probably striking out not that much in comparison with the league, or at least with their players'
strikeout rates way
averages.
down.
Yeah, but then just not doing the kind of damage that they could at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's I hate to just crap on Nathaniel Lowe, but I'm going to crap on Nathaniel Lowe for a second. But they've kind of been infected with the Nathaniel Lowe syndrome, which is offensively he's got, and it makes me the most frustrated, because I know he's got that raw power because William Lowe's in.
He hits the ball hard.
Yeah, it's just he's so patient and passive. It's all right, I'm fine with you want to strike out every once in a while if you're going to hit the crap out of the baseball. And I know part of it's just baseball is dead, and Major League Baseball doesn't give a crap, and is probably never going to fix it until they decide to fix it randomly for no reason. Offense is down around all of baseball, but it's just, I don't know. I was hoping for big booms and bad pitching this year, and then slightly less bad pitching next year.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more of the same, and I think that's way more upsetting to watch than the inverse.
Yeah, so, I've got a question. So, you said that it looks like Semien's coming a little bit out of it. What are you seeing to indicate that? Because, again, I've been on my Mavs and Stars lately. It's
mainly the battling in the at-bats, the strikeout rate. He's not... He has a really low strikeout. It's I think, even lower right now than, he normally is. He had a play in Sunday's game that was kind of the epitome of it. He just fought off this pitch that ended up being a fastball, I think, probably a couple inches inside off the plate, and he got his hands around it real quick. So the bat speed's still there. It's not that's the issue. Maybe some timing issue, but he just absolutely smacked it down the left field line and hustled it out a hustle double that kind of kept that rally going for the four. It kind of started the rally actually in that 4-run inning where the Rangers took the lead and ended up winning on that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing from him, and it's not bleeding as much into his defense. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being hopeful and kind of, watching it, or maybe but he is struggling. Like, all the expected numbers are like way down. It indicates that like, this is really how bad he's been.
You know, I'm a little surprised looking at the numbers because what my observation has been when I've watched is he's hit a lot of weak pull side grounders. And his ground balls are up, but it's not exceptionally so. He's trading a lot of his line drives for grounders, for infield pop-ups. Neither of which are great. But it's not quite to the extent I would have expected. His pull percentage is also lower than last year's. So maybe it's a little bit harder to diagnose than I had expected because you can see some of that in the trends, but not enough to explain the entirety of this.
Yeah, no, and it's just so confusing and frustrating because he is a guy who has been, one of the best players in baseball for the last, handful of years, and the Rangers did spend big on him and there's a lot of expectations, and he's not living up to them, and that sucked because I really like Marcus Semien and I really like the signing, but it's just been bad at this point, and not having like a clear answer is making it worse.
He is swinging significantly more, both in the zone and out of it.
Okay,
so there is an approach difference there, which honestly, it seems kind of antithetical to what the rest of the lineup is doing with the new coaches.
Yeah, and Marcus, and it's not like Corey Seager's numbers are blowing anybody away either. I mean, he's got a 716 OPS at this point,
which is like 80% over league average this year.
Which it makes me so mad that that's the thing. But anyway, we talked a whole lot about the major league team. Coming up, we're going to get into the minor league season, the worst start of Jack Leiter's career, and what that even means in the context of his season. This episode is also brought to you by RockAuto.com. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need, or endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning about your car and wait while the person behind the counter orders parts on the computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry. That's not right. You can go to use your computer at home or in your pocket. They've got access to RockAuto.com. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why'd you spend up to 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts? From a chain store or a car dealership, Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every single customer. So go explore their easy-to-use website today. Find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to RockAuto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck right locked on in their How'd You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at RockAuto.com. And now, back to my talk with Grant Schiller. And we are back with Grant Schiller, the prospect projector, talking about Rangers prospects, Rangers minor league guys. And I want to start in Frisco. First off with, I did tease talking about Jack Leiter, so I figure we should probably talk about Jack Leiter in his worst professional start, how horrible it was. And it was real bad. It was straight up bad. He didn't make it out of the second inning. I did not enjoy what I saw there. 1 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs. All of those were earned. 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and a partridge in a poop tree. Oh, he also did hit a batter. So, are you literally at all concerned? This is coming off his best career start, and how commonplace is this? Because I know it happens for pretty much everybody, but how commonplace is it to have one of these just absolute stinkers of a start?
Yeah, I mean it happens. Especially it happens to guys who go straight from college to AA. Especially it happens to guys in their first professional season. He's got primo stuff. I'm not worried about the ceiling. This year is all just about learning how to command, how to work his pitches off each other, and how to be a pro. Honestly, having some starts like this where he gets battered for not having great command or doesn't have his best stuff and it doesn't work out, that's probably a good thing because he's going to need to learn how to do those things if he's going to hit his potential. So no, I'm not really worried about him. I'm much more worried about maybe a Cole win. Leiter, I don't worry about.
What do you worry about? I mean, win starts have not been exactly fantastic so far. I mean, he did have one start where he just got roughed up a little bit, and I believe it was Vegas, which kind of everybody gets roughed up in Vegas. But what have you seen? What have you heard about Cole Winn right now? He's got an ERA over 6 in 7 starts. 20 strikeouts in 31 innings, which is not exactly what I want, and 21 walks. Back to the little bit of the walk problem that he had earlier.
That's what really concerns me is the walk problem. Because it seems like pitch selection-wise, just what you see from Scott Lucas when he goes and sees him, he's just trying stuff out. Like, he's wanted to work on the changeup a lot. He's wanted to work on the slider one day, the curveball another day. It seems like he's really out there kind of throwing bullpens in games almost to an extent, just working on his pitch shape and pitch selection and whatever he wants to work on the given day. The walk problem, however, which I'm sure that plays into it too, but now it looks to be a little bit more real. Whereas last year in Frisco, his fastball command was a real strength for him and a real plus on the profile, both how it was and kind of how it projected to be. Now you walk 21 and 31 innings, and the walk of 2019 become a bigger concern. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not pressing the panic button because, again, he doesn't seem to be using his starts as a real competitive venue as much as is typical. But I am kind of side-eyeing the walks with a little bit of, I don't know. I don't love that, you know.
A little bit of skepticism. I mean, he's not the only one who's walking. I mean, everybody in Frisco is walking a crap ton of people. And AJ Lexi also has a little bit of worrying walk rate. He has 23 walks in 27 and 2/3 innings this year.
And that's always been his MO.
Yeah. But, you know. And he also has an ERA over 7, as does Spencer Howard. Has an exactly 7.11 ERA. He has gone averaged, well, let's see, three innings basically, almost exactly 3 innings in his starts there. Which, again, gosh, he does have 13 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings. So that's cool.
That's crazy.
That's cool. He also has 3 walks in 6 1/3 innings. So,
I mean, you know what that says, which is kind of what I've thought all year, is reliever.
Yeah. Well, at least will be one with primo stuff.
Yeah,
that'll be nice.
I think he could be one of those guys who goes to the pen and is a really, really good reliever. I think that's still on the table. I wouldn't bet on it, but I think that's on the table for him.
And that's the entirety of your return for a little all-star starting pitcher who is back to all-star form this year.
Is he?
Yeah, he's been really good for Philadelphia.
For him.
Happy for him. But a guy who had an incredible monster Sunday, besides Luka Doncic, maybe even the best Sunday. Well, I don't know. Context matters a little bit of bigger stage for Luka. But Zeke Duran had about as good a game as you could possibly have in the minors. 4-for-4, 2 doubles, 2 homers, jumped his OPS from 801 to 901 in literally one day. Slash line at this point stands at 302, 343, 558. 5 home runs for him, which are tied for the second most on that Frisco team. How much have you seen from him? What excites you about this guy? It seems like he's playing a lot of second and shortstop.
Well, yeah, I like him. You know, I don't know that I've seen quite enough of him yet to really place a projection on him. It takes me a lot longer with batters than with pitchers. But I like him. I can tell you enough I've seen enough to say that. He's got really strong wrists. He really drives the ball well up the V. If the ball wasn't dead, I think he'd have better power numbers than he does because he can really hit the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
It's interesting he doesn't chase as much as kind of the reputation was coming in. It seems like he's gotten better with that. He's not swinging and missing as much. The approach isn't as erratic. So that seems to has taken a step forward. It's a really strong arm. I don't know. I don't think I've seen enough to say whether he can play short or not yet. But I like him. I think he's a good player. He'll make it. I'd love to see 100 at bats from him this year. In person. But he's nice. Very interesting, and I like him.
Yeah, another guy who he's also only 23 years old, which is also pretty nice. But a guy who's also 23 years old and also is listed as a middle infielder, Justin Foscue, is putting up some really encouraging numbers. Have you seen much of him at all in person? Because what the numbers look like are it kind of alleviated everything that was super duper concerning for him last year.
I have not seen much of him because he started late and they've been on the road. The 2 games I have seen, It was early in the season, so he looked kind of like the same guy, where it was really poor defensively. But if you threw him a fastball he could pull, he'd hit 110 miles an hour. Other stuff he struggled more against. But numbers-wise, he's walking more. He's not striking out. I mean, he's striking out basically half as much.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers have been great. So I'm very excited to go see him this week. And I really hope that it's legit because, I mean, I was not the high guy on him last year.
Yeah, we're both pretty down on him.
Yeah. And, I mean, like BP had him top 50. And I didn't see that. But I hope I'm wrong. He's off to a really good start. And he really can pull the crap out of a fastball. So he still can't field. But if the bat has rounded out around that ability, that's still a valuable player.
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers could use a guy who is slashing 314, 417, 571 right now.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people probably could.
Yes.
But Dustin Harris, another bat who has done really stinking well so far. The numbers aren't quite as great. I think part of that is dead baseball.
He started like 1 for 20.
Yeah, but like right now he's got an on base over 360, and he's the slugging numbers. Those are the ones that are still waiting to come around. But he also had a home run in that massive offensive party that the Rough Riders did on Sunday. Have you seen much out of him?
I saw most of what I've seen from him is during that 1 for 20. So most of what I've seen from him is that he couldn't hit an off-speed pitch, but it seems like that has turned around. So he's another guy who I'm really excited to go see this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another guy who I've heard a decent bit about is Lucas Jacobson, a big, tall lefty.
Yeah, I haven't caught him yet.
Oh,
It's been annoying.
I'm bummed. I'm going to try and get out there for this will be Tuesday's episode, but I'm going to try and get out there for the Tuesday afternoon game. Try and go out there and see if I can catch a sight of Lucas Jacobson or a sight of Zach Kent, who will only be seen by scouts and people who don't have day jobs.
Well, I think I might take my lunch to see a couple innings of Zach Kent, honestly.
Ooh, that'd be worth it.
So I might see you out there.
That would be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, this has been so encouraging for these young guys. And before we wrap up, we're gonna do our I guess no longer weekly, but whenever we get together, tradition of our random ranger. Who is your random ranger that you have prepared for us today?
So, in honor of him getting called up this week somehow, I'm gonna go with an arm who was quite bad for the Rangers, but he was on a good team, and he currently is somehow still in the big leagues, if you can call the Reds that.
Technically, I think you still can.
I think technically, yes. I don't think you could do it in good faith, but you technically could say that. This is, of course, a member of the 2015 Rangers.
Of course. Who
threw 43 innings with a 7.12 ERA and an FIP of 6.16. Mm-hmm. He didn't really strike out a whole lot more than he walked. He looked to the eye test every bit as bad as his numbers were. I mean, he gave up almost 2 runners an inning. And he was a source of great frustration for me when Bannister continued to go to him and the Rangers continued to employ him. And I am, of course, talking about Ross Detweiler.
Oh, yes.
The now
lost Detweiler.
14-year big leaguer.
I can't believe that he's still in the big leagues.
Me neither.
Yeah, that was bad. I got another bad pitcher for you on a good Rangers team.
Okay.
This is a no one guy. I think you might already know who it is by me.
Roy Oswalt.
Yes. Yes, Roy Oswalt, the big no one guy, the one that he should get all the credit for, who just completely fell off a cliff with the Rangers. Like in 2010? 2010. He pitched with the Rangers in 2012. So only 2 years before, he had a top 6 Cy Young finish. It was really dang good with Houston and the Phillies. The year before, he had a 3.69 ERA. Comes to Texas, 9 starts, 17 games, 5.80 ERA in 59 innings. Struck out 59. Just overall not good. And then was even worse somehow next year with Colorado and was just done. It was just done. 6 top 6 Cy Young finishes in his career. And then he comes to Texas and everything goes down out of nowhere. I don't know what what happened, how the Rangers ruined him, but I just remember it being bad and everyone being like, well, no one's got him, so he must be good. And
who was worse? Was it him or Kyle Loesch?
I don't know. I think Loesch might have been worse, but it's a real toss-up.
It is. That's a real battle.
Man, talking about only the best Rangers players in history. This is my favorite continued bit that we do. Grant, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. If you're not already, go ahead and follow Grant on Twitter at OGShill. Follow me at Bryce Paddock. Follow the show at Locked On Rangers and subscribe on YouTube. I'll be back with more episodes this week talking about what's going on with the Rangers facing the Red Hot Angels and hopefully getting ready to destroy the Astros this weekend. That'll do it for this edition of Locked On Rangers. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.